Menu engineering is perhaps the quickest way to increasing profits. It's been proven over and over again that spending the time to go through the menu engineering process can improve profits by 5% to 15%. But to do it right, there is math involved and time. But committing to re-engineering your menu is time well spent. To describe it simply, menu engineering is the study of the profitability and popularity of each of your menu items. And then, using this information, you'll redesign your menu knowing where to place and how to feature these items with the goal of increasing profitability from your guests. This is a 4-step process. Cost out your menu items, including profit margin contribution. Categorize your menu items to see profitability versus popularity. Use this information to design your menu using profit-increasing design techniques. Track your results to make improvements. We'll go through this step by step. Step number 1, cost out your menu. This is where the math is. The goal of this process is to know the actual cost of each of your menu items. Then you can determine the profit margin of that dish when you know your cost and the price you're charging your customers. The tedious part of that is you need to break down the cost of every item in each recipe, right down to the seasoning. Below is a link to a helpful spreadsheet that comes from eatapp.co, the industry-leading restaurant reservation and table management platform. It's an Excel spreadsheet that has 4 tabs on it, which give you a great template for doing this work. Tab number 1 is the recipe food cost. Each section is one menu item. Start by listing every ingredient in the recipe. The next column is the quantity of that item in grams, and the next section helps convert that to pounds and ounces, followed by the converted quantity needed. The yield percent accounts for waste. For instance, the ground chuck, you can use 100% of it. But the sliced onions, you'll have to cut down to get rid of the outer skin and the ends, so that's showing 89% usable product. The purchase amount needed section just multiplies the quantity needed by the percent yield to get the purchase amount needed. In the next section, you'll put in your costs for the item. Then the last column multiplies the amount needed by the purchase price to give you the actual price for that item in the recipe. At the bottom, you see that the chili cheeseburger has a food cost of $4.13. And that's just one item. Now you need to do that for every item on your menu to determine actual food costs for each menu item. The next tab is the recipe information sheet. This is where we find the food cost percentage. Your menu price is $14. The recipe food cost was $4.13, so the food cost percentage is 29.5%. The third tab is for weekly revenue tracking, which is helpful for ongoing operations. But for menu engineering, we're most interested in the fourth tab, menu profitability. This is where we reach the second step in our engineering process, determining the profit contribution margin based on profitability and popularity. Let's step through this tab. The first column is where you list all your menu items. Next, it's the quantity sold of those items, followed by the menu price. And then the food cost you figured out through the recipe breakdown and the food cost percentage from the recipe information sheet. The contribution margin is the menu price minus the food costs to show how much profit margin comes from that menu item. You can clearly see that some of your items are more profitable than other items, as in this example margin ranges from $7.85 to $10.79. That's good to know, but it's not the full picture. You need to multiply this by the amount sold to get the full picture of how much an individual dish is contributing to your profit margin. The next three columns do precisely that by multiplying the earlier columns by the amount sold. Then, to get the contribution margin percentage, the individual item total margin is divided by the sum of all items margin to get the percentage. That's when we get the full picture of what's performing the best. Look at the chicken and waffles. It's contributing a whopping 31% of the entire margin to your business. That's good to know as we analyze which items we want to feature on the menu. For every customer who you can move from ordering the Southern Benedict into ordering chicken and waffles, that's almost another $3 directly into your pocket. That's the power of menu engineering. If you are analytical and like math, that is your favorite part of the process. But if you're more creative and like the visual arts and design, you'll like this next part better. I'm definitely in that category. So we've arrived at the third step in this process, using the information we just gathered to redesign the menu to increase profits. But first we need to translate the numbers into usable information, which comes by categorizing our menu items. Everyone uses these four terms, so I won't reinvent the wheel and just go with the flow. This is best done by categories, like by grouping all your sandwiches or salads, or however you have categorized your menu. We have the stars, high profitability and high popularity. The plow horses, low profitability and high popularity. Puzzles, high profitability but low popularity. The dogs, low profitability and low popularity. With this information for each menu item, you can now decide how you want to deal with it. Obviously, the stars we want to sell more of. They're highly profitable and highly popular. The plow horses are popular, but they're not helping your profits. We can bury these on your menu, or better yet, maybe you reinvent that dish. Can you do something different to justify raising the price? Or is there a way to decrease your food cost, which will increase your profit margin at the existing menu price? Puzzles are just that, a bit puzzling. They're highly profitable, but they are not popular. Are they overpriced? Do they need reimagined? Or do they just need a better presentation on the menu to get more attention? We'll talk about those options after we let the dogs out. So now we have to deal with those dogs, items with low profit and low popularity. The first inclination is to just 86 them off of the menu, but sometimes that's not possible. When that's the case, there are strategies to use, like just listing the item without a description or a photo. You don't need to waste prime menu real estate on the dogs. Now that you know which items you want to highlight and which are not nearly as profitable, we can move on to redesigning your menu. Here are some effective tactics to use. List placement matters. Think of your lists like a page of Google search results. The first item has a click-through rate of 43%. The second item drops to 37%, followed by the third at 29% and the fourth at 19%. The interesting thing is that a list of items on your menu operates very similarly. The top item gets ordered the most, and it drops down from there. However, there is one important difference. The bottom item in a list also gets a boost in quantity sold. That's because we're all lazy. We read the top of the list, then we scan down and we read the bottom of the list. So the high profit margin items that you want to sell more of should be placed in the top 2 spots or at the bottom of your list for a specific section. These are the power positions. And keep your list short. Ideally, they should be 4 or 5 items, but never exceed a list of 7 items. Box items for maximum attention. Another power move is to box items. This separates them from a list and calls extra attention to them. This also works great for signature items that are special at your restaurant. Add an icon or illustration, write an exceptional description, and this will do the selling for you. Photos sell. A big, beautiful photo can provide a huge jump in sales. Some say they've seen up to a 30% increase in the sales of a menu item when they add a photo. If you add too many photos, this number will decrease, but a few well-placed high-quality photos of a high-margin item can work wonders for your sales. Write powerful descriptions. The description is not the place to list the recipe. It's your chance to give your best sales pitch by describing the item with great copywriting. Stories sell. Stories tap into our emotions and good feelings. These can be short 2 or 3 word stories like My Mother's Recipe or From the Shores of Nantucket. These simple phrases paint an entire backstory in the minds of those reading your menu. Brand names add value. Instead of mustard, let them know it's Goulden's Premium Mustard. Or instead of soup, let them know it's Harry's Home-Style Soup. If you're using respected and known brands, tap into their brand equity to add value to your menu. Use detailed descriptions. Customers are reading your descriptions and trying to picture this dish in their mind. So use words that help them imagine the menu item. Slow roasted, hand battered, marinated, caramelized, tangy, encrusted, infused, crunchy, crispy, wood oven smoked. Spend the time to write mouth-watering descriptions. Place prices properly. While you need to display the price, you don't want it to be the focus. Here are some tested truths to control sticker shock. Don't add dots or lines over to the price. In fact, don't line up all your prices down the side. This provides an easy way to scan all the prices and make their menu choice based on prices instead of based on the actual menu items. Place the price discreetly at the end of each item description. Lose the dollar signs. When you include the dollar symbol, it increases the customer perception of cost. Save the space and lose the dollar signs. Use the power of 9. People love the number 9. One college study showed that people bought more of an item if it was priced at $39 instead of $34. Cents may make sense. If your customers are value conscious, use a decimal point and the cents with your prices. But if you have a more premium concept that's white tablecloth or caters to the luxury crowd, never include cents in your prices. Use the decoy effect. I guarantee that you've seen this, although you may not have realized it. The decoy effect is the addition of another item to influence your purchase of a different item. It's best understood with an example. If you see 2 bottles of wine on a menu, one priced at $10 and the second priced at $30, your initial response is that the $30 bottle is expensive. However, if they add a third bottle of wine priced at $50, then suddenly the $30 wine seems much more affordable and you're more likely to purchase it. This can also be accomplished by adding a third choice between the 2 original items. For example, if you sell a small serving of onion rings for $3 and a large for $7, it's likely that the large won't sell that well. But if you add a medium order of rings for $6.50, then the large appears to be a much better value because it's only 50 cents more. Sales of the large will increase. We all make value comparison based on the information we have at that time. Through the decoy effect, you can define your own value equation for your menu items. That brings us to the 4th step in the menu engineering process, and that's simply to track your results. Once you have your menu spreadsheet built, it'll be a simple process to plug in updated numbers. And you can compare the new period to the time frame before your menu change. It's good to keep this up to date monthly or at least quarterly. You'll be able to see how your changes are performing, and from that information make decisions on tweaks and changes for the next menu.